Commander Riker,
Yes.
get that spray olive oil. The extra virgin kind.
Why's it gotta be olive oil, Captain?
Get that spray olive oil and put it all over my bald fucking head.
Are you going in, sir?
I'm about to go in. I'm about to put my head in that woman's vagina.
Beverly Crusher?
Doctor, is it Dr. Crusher?
Dr. Crusher.
Dr. Crusher's vagina. This whole crew is all getting wonky.
Say wonky?
Yeah. It's like, Commander, we don't have any spray olive oil. We do have this jar of congealed coconut oil.
That'll work.
That'll work.
But you know you can just replicate some olive oil.
That's
if you
true.
want.
Commander Riker, you fool. Grab a large spoon. Get a scoop of that and put it on my head. It'll melt like vanilla ice cream on a hot brownie.
Coconut
And
oil.
while at it, get some pineapple juice. I'm going to make my semen taste good.
Oh my god.
And then call me Mr. Pina Colada. Captain Pina Colada.
Captain Pina Colada. Star Trek: The Sexth Generation.
So that is a third episode. You mentioned...
Yeah, so people don't
previous-
know, Nick started watching TNG.
I started watching my first foray into it. And I think you mentioned in the last podcast that Data gets some, right?
Yeah.
Data Beta, he gets some. He's so beta in this, by the way. Like, he's so beta that it's like a turn on for Lieutenant Yar. Like, she's like almost a BDSM, like overpowering her.
Yeah, so like this, it was a virus, right?
It was like a virus. This is episode 3, by the way, so it's like right into it, and it just
This
like
is like right after the two-parter with Q, right?
Yes, the two-parter with Q, which was the most boring shit I've ever seen in my life. By the way. I was not into it. But then it goes right into sex. So I was like, oh, this is not bad.
Yeah,
it's interesting at least.
But all the women are like voracious.
Yeah, so this is like Abraham Lincoln's speech. It's like it's for the neckbeards, by the neckbeards. Yeah. It's the Constitution of the neckbeards, for the neckbeards, by the neckbeards. And all the women are just throwing themselves on the men. It's like not even, it's like night and day. Like they're just like, Lieutenant Yara is just throwing herself on every man. Like the very first scene, she's just like kissing a dude.
Yeah, she's wearing some kind of like you see her navel kind of thing, right? Is that
you see her navel and you see underboob, which
That's right.
did not expect for 1980s television show. Actually, it was kind of reminiscent of those times, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
The 80s were a weird time.
It was a weird time.
Yeah.
So that series started when I was born. It's like my year. And it was unbelievable that shit was going on.
Because you got to think like all of the, we'll get back to Star Trek, but all of the like the really, really gory movies were all in the 80s, dude.
Well, it started there for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the VHS style kind of, not VHS, but like kind of dirty, grungy.
No, I think like Terminator 2, Total Recall, all of these were like around that time, right? And they were like, even to this day, nothing has matched that level of gore, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was a very nasty time.
Yeah.
Like it was like, it was just appreciating like gory kind of, it was almost like smut.
Yeah, Predator.
Yeah.
Like all of these very gory films. Yeah.
Cronenberg shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So back to Star Trek.
Yeah.
So this third episode, there's some virus that makes everyone kind of loopy. I don't know what it is. It's like
it moves inhibitions.
It removes inhibitions. So all the women apparently are just sex fiends. Some men are, but then like the Commander Riker and Captain Picard are just like they're like dudes. Like, oh, I've got a responsibility, Beverly.
Not now, Beverly.
Not now. I'll fuck you later. I'll put my head in your vagina later. Like he's literally waving her off. Yeah. He's like, just
get off.
Just fucking. We got time. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously made by men for men.
Yeah. It's a man's show. And then, dude. So there's one Asian guy, the only Asian guy I've seen, by the way, in 4 episodes.
In the future, right? There's no Asians except for this one guy.
You think in the future
it's going to be mostly Asians.
It's going to be mostly.
Let's be honest. Sorry, we're going to the star room.
Tsugi no generation. It'll be like the next. Yeah, it's gonna be so Asian. But there's this one Asian guy.
Yeah,
and as representing Asians here,
and he's Japanese.
He's Japanese. Yeah, Shimoda.
Yeah,
and dude, his inhibition. You remove his inhibition, he's doing fucking Jenga on the ground, sitting Indian style, just
with
playing.
the isolator chips. I remember.
And he's just like, ooh.
He has this dumb look on his face.
While there's orgies.
Yeah,
and
he's
shit.
not trying to have sex with any woman.
It reminded me of like PTSD of my like dorm room. So, it's just like, okay, I'm
Nick's sitting there coding, and everyone's
like antisocial behavior here, and then like everything's going out in the
damn bro.
Space. Yeah.
Poor Nick, poor college Nick.
Yeah, just playing. I mean, it sounds like a good time, by the way. Just fucking going down, just playing with Jenga with some blue chips.
I gotta say, I was more in your space in college than I was in that space. I was more in the play on the computer space for sure.
Yeah, playing with. I mean, you play with the boys, but it wouldn't be like throwing yourself out there.
No, it'd be like, hey, let's have a LAN party, or let's. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it was just kind of like Asian representation is just sitting down on the ground playing Jenga, just nerding it out.
Not to be funny, but from the Japanese perspective, it's not that far from the truth, right?
No. Granted, it sounds like a great time. But it's like, everyone's fucking around in this, and then Data gets them. Yeah. Right? And everyone gets them, and Commander Riker is like solid the whole time. He's just completely level-headed. Wesley loses his mind and gets power hungry, because that's like his inhibition once removed is like this kind of person with a lot of sensitivities, and a kid who wants to show his worth. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it was an interesting episode. Like third episode in, just like, this is it. Like, holy shit, this doesn't sound like Star Trek. It sounds like a filler episode for.
Yeah, it's a very strange. I think the original idea for the writers was, let's do like, this isn't your dad's Star Trek, but like,
this is Captain Pina Colada Star Trek.
Yeah. But within a season, they went back to the original formula of the original series.
That's good to hear, because right now it's like so even in the fourth episode is like a little. It goes towards world building a little bit.
Oh, this is the one where they went to that like planet where it's like mostly African type people.
Yeah, it's right? Like African people, but they have like some like amazing vaccine.
Right. Yeah. So they need the vaccine. That's what it is.
And so Lieutenant Yar has to fight to her death to get this vaccine. And there's like this sexual tension going on with like the male leader, and like the female leader has to fight Lieutenant Yar, and whoever wins, keeps the man apparently. Yeah. But then in the end, the female leader, apparently she has more power in this, or she had like land and shit.
Yeah, I think it was a kind of a matriarchal society, if I'm remembering properly.
Yeah, and she chose a different mate. And then Lieutenant Yar and that, ex-male leader had this sexual tension. And the female leader was like, yeah, you just go with Lieutenant Yar. I'm like, Lieutenant Yar, just fuck him. And she's like, there's complications with that. And she's like, with a smirk. As if suggesting, fourth episode in, that this man is too much penis for her.
BBC.
Yeah. His black penis is too big. Just that's the kind of like.
It's a very strange. Yeah, you're right.
Like denoting that kind of 1980s, like, this is kind of, you can't do that nowadays, but.
It's a good example of this. Do you remember the original Batman with Michael Keaton?
Yeah.
Do you remember the scene where the Joker's like throwing out all the like the dollars and everything, and there's all like, that weird like dance scene is like, it's like Prince in the background and all this stuff, like
purple suit and just dancing around.
That is, the 80s was so weird, dude. Like in that respect,
it was just cocaine addled. Yeah. It was just kind of just get in a room.
In a lot of ways, it was more advanced sexually than I think it is now. In some ways, in media, I mean, like, okay, you got like people dancing half naked in every music video, so I guess that's not true. But I feel like there was you would see a lot of sexualized stuff in media that children watched.
Yes,
like Batman.
I think, it was almost silly, right? It was almost naive sexuality. It wasn't like it was very blunt. Now it's way more subtle or way more over the top. It's like. There's nothing in between.
There's nothing in between, yeah. I think the 80s was a lot of in between.
Yeah.
Like, in what movie are you going to see boobs and a guy's arms rips off? That like Total Recall, right? Like
Yeah.
that only happened in the 80s.
I wonder if women liked 80s movies.
I don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
It sounds like such a guy thing, the 80s, right?
Yeah. Of course, someone's going to say like I actually don't remember when Total Recall came out. It was actually 1991. Okay, fine. Like, okay.
It had to be 80s.
Yeah, I think it had to be 80s, I
Yeah.
think. We're probably both wrong, but whatever. Early 90s and the 80s. Let's put that all
That
together.
shit was crazy, though.
Yeah.
Dude, I had nightmares about fucking your eyes popping out of your head in, like, when you're out in, like, Martian atmosphere.
Dude, that scene fucked me up, too.
Yeah, if his eyes just start, like,
Yeah.
bulging out of his head.
Mhm.
Just like he, you know, someone blew air into him.
Yep.
I was like, fucking God.
And when he tries to get on in the Mars, dressed as that lady.
Yes.
2 weeks. That whole thing with the, like, I'm like, what is this, dude?
And the fucking...
Why a lady? Why
Yeah.
this lady? Like, it was just so weird, man.
And
And then the head pops off. It's like, surprise! And it blows up, you know? Like, it's just like...
Everything exploded in that.
Yeah.
They fucking shot the little guy, you know, on the chest.
Quado or Guado.
Just
or
literally just headshotted both of them. Literal explosion of this tiny
Yeah.
head. Yeah. It's
So,
crazy.
yeah. So, like, Data gets some.
Beta data, man.
And then at the end, she's like, if I remember correctly, she's like, this never happened, right?
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
he just, I'm sad. Like, oh. I'm assuming he never gets some after.
Not that I can think. I think he dates for sure. He definitely dates.
He dates.
There's an episode where he dates.
Beta data dates.
Because Guinan's like, you know, he's asking Guinan for advice. Guinan is the Whoopi Goldberg character you didn't know was in Star Trek. For advice on dating, and he starts dating this woman, and she's like really into him. But then there's a point where this isn't giving anything away because it's not really that good of an episode. It's like there's a point where they realize like there's a limit to what he can do, not sexually, like in a relationship.
He like
Yeah,
such a beta move. He's like, oh, I practiced all. I'm like very learned about all these
all
sexual
different forms
practices.
of sexual.
Yeah, he's like fucking gloating about it while before all this is happening, and just like sounds such a beta move.
Yeah, it is a beta move.
Like, I can totally fuck you up.
I know the Kama Sutra and
Yeah, I've downloaded all of Kama Sutra,
yeah.
the extended version as well. Yeah, it was